Hey guys, welcome back to Charlo's Place. We are joined by Dustin of Endocanna and Better Concentrates. Today we're talking marijuana as medicine, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, that's how you got started in all this, was as a patient.
Absolutely. I actually grew up in Wyoming, where it's really very conservative, and it's kind of thought of as the devil's lettuce up there. You know, it's corrupting our youth today and you know, destroying the values that America stands on. So that was kind of my stance on it for a really long time. And then
your own stance?
Yeah, oh yeah, I was absolutely super against marijuana. I remember when I was 15 years old, my friends brought it over to my house, and I ended up chasing them out of my house with a paintball gun.
Are you surprised where you are now?
Oh man, if you would have told me when I was 18 years old that this would be my career path, I would have been offended. You know, it was like I said, I was a straight shooter. I was trying to become a professional athlete, although it was in paintball, but you know, it was my dream, and it was going quite well. I was semi-professional playing. I was actually refereeing professionally, where they were flying me all over the country, Florida, California, Boston. It was a really cool gig. And then I got sick. One day, me and my then girlfriend, now wife, we were out at a movie, and I had like really flu-like symptoms, you know, upset stomach, cold sweats. Just figured go home, sleep it off, everything was going to be okay. Woke up the next morning with the first migraine I've ever had in my life, which I thought migraines were a made-up disease that women, you know, had for getting out of school and sex, but
oh my gosh.
And that's kind of how my world works, is where if I didn't believe in something, it comes on me 10 times harder, you know, and it was debilitating. It knocked me down for, you know, a good week, and then I tried to get out, went to the doctor, they gave me some pills, tried to live my life, tried to continue on. It didn't work out. I had to withdraw from school. I was only 18 years old. I was a freshman in college, trying to get my mechanical engineering degree, and it took me out of that entire thing, took me out of my life. I actually had a pro tryout set up for a paintball team down in Georgia, and never made it to that, just too much pain. I started seeing a neurologist that actually told me, you know, he gave me a bunch of, they actually give you anti-seizure medication. It was called Depakote. So it's horrible for you, but he, you know, just kept giving it to me. He says, lay in a dark room and, you know, keep doubling your dose and you're gonna be better, you know, in 3 months. And of course that didn't work out.
How long did this go on?
It was 6 years, a little over 6 years.
Just constant headaches?
All day, every day.
Migraines.
It started, it was bilateral, so it was only on the left side of my head for the first while, and then it would kind of travel over. Then through the years, it ended up traveling over to the other side, creating really bad tension headaches, because I was in a lot of pain. I would always hunch my shoulders up, so it created really bad problems through here. And then I'd get really bad cluster headaches as well, where they're like right behind your eyes. Feels like your eyes are going to shoot out of your brain, and it was just unrelenting. They actually call cluster migraines or cluster headaches the suicide disease, just because most people just can't take it. And I ended up just, you know, taking so many opiates, and then luckily finding marijuana.
How, I mean, you had to reach a point where you, like Mr. Anti-Drugs, what was that threshold that you reached to open up your mind to this option?
So I had gone to start seeing an acupuncturist, because I had you know, turned to my mom and my girlfriend and said, I don't think this is going to go away. I gotta not believe anymore that I can just walk into a doctor's office and they're gonna go, I know what it is, take this pill, you're gonna be better. That's not a real option. I said, let's try to work on me, let's try to make me feel better. You know, started doing acupuncture, chiropractor, massage therapy, and had a blood test done, and my thyroid level was up to a 13. You're supposed to be around like a 2 or a 3. Doctors, of course, wanted to start me on, you know, more thyroid medication and everything, and my acupuncturist says, you know, no. We're gonna try some, you know, Chinese herbs, we're gonna do some acupuncture. Started feeling around, he's like, God, your liver's going, your kidneys are going.
Oh my goodness.
Luckily, he was able to really pull me back as far as health-wise, but never anything with the headaches. And my girlfriend at the time, like I said, then girlfriend, now wife, she comes to me and she goes, me and some of my friends smoke marijuana. Why why don't you come smoke with us and see if that has any effect? And of course I go, oh my God, you smoke weed? Like, oh, this is bad news, man. I can't be with a pothead. Like, you're trying to corrupt today's youth right now, you know? Like, really bad news bears, right? But I kind of like the girl, so I started doing some research, and it's kind of the way I do things. Is if I'm interested and I need to know everything I can about it. And there was some anecdotal evidence out there that says, yeah, maybe this is something. And I was down at a party at UNC with my best friend, and they all had a bunch of marijuana they were smoking, and it was, you know, filling the room. And they convinced me after being drunk that, you know, there was so much marijuana smoke in the room that I had to have a contact high. So why don't we just smoke some, you know? And tried it, and nothing. Didn't do a damn thing. Kept trying to smoke with, you know, so the first time I smoked, the only thing I felt was guilt and remorse, because I had given my wife or my girlfriend so much hell about smoking weed. And so I came back to her and was like, you know, I tried it. And instead of getting mad, instead of I told you so's and stuff, she says, well, come with me, come with my friends, you know, let's see if we can actually get you to where I think it can get you to. And, you know, we kept smoking. It took me 8 times of smoking until finally one day we were in somebody's bathroom smoking a little tiny chillum that I almost burnt my nose off with. And it was like somebody turned on the lights, and I was laughing. I was having a good time with my friends. And I said, oh my God, nobody can tell me that this is illegal. Nobody can tell me that what this has brought me back from, you know, is wrong. So I started smoking marijuana. Unfortunately, living in Wyoming, they didn't see things quite the same way as I did. I was literally less than a year of smoking marijuana in Wyoming until I got caught by the police. And I might have gotten caught with a little more than just a personal supply. And they might have given me about 4 years of probation, where they told me absolutely no marijuana. I actually had a state-ordered psychologist that I had to go see that told me, he's like, absolutely, I think marijuana is the answer for you. Like, you're not going to be able to smoke it. I'm going to see what I can do to try to help you get Marinol, you know, the synthetic drug. It took me 3 years until I finally got Marinol, and it was just such a letdown, because there was nothing there. You know?
What is it like?
I didn't feel a damn thing, and that's kind of, there's 2 spectrums of it. There's either you don't feel anything, or you get hit like a ton of bricks, and there's really no in between. I've never met somebody that used Marinol that had an enjoyable experience with it, and it's really expensive. It was $15 for a 10 milligram pill. If you bought the generic, you'd get it to $9 for a 10 milligram pill. Yeah, it was crazy.
And so, was the cannabis helping with your migraines before your arrest?
Yes, absolutely. It felt like it gave me my life back, but the problem that I had was I just had to smoke so much of it, you know. It was decent potency, but I just had to continue to smoke so much of it. So I actually was able to move to Colorado. I actually had a doctor from Colorado write a prescription to my probation officer that said, you know, I had to move to Colorado or else I was going to die. The altitude was killing me up there. Just the entire culture up there was killing me. And I got lucky enough to be put on unsupervised probation. So couldn't necessarily be a part of the Colorado medical marijuana card holder, but I could actually be down here where it was a whole lot friendlier, and I could start to use it. I was, you know, I bought a Volcano, I was vaporizing it, trying to be as efficient as I could and get as much into my system as I could, because it would just seem like I'd smoke it, I'd feel better, and, you know, 15-20 minutes later I'd be having to smoke it again, just because that's how much I required. And then I started learning about concentrates a little bit.
And that's the start of better.
It's getting there.
Getting there.
Know? Yeah. The first time I ever saw concentrates, actually, I finally got let off of probation, got my red card, and had a buddy of mine say, you know, you want to come work with me in the industry? I'm like, you want me? I just got done being on papers for being a drug dealer, basically. And now you want me to sign more papers to let the government know that I'm going to come sell weed. Like, that sounded like a pretty awful idea. And I, made that deal with my mom. She was with me through the whole thing. And I said, if I could ever get weed legally, I won't push the envelope. I won't be selling it anymore. I won't be touching any of the other drugs. That's all I want to do. So I came to her and I said, this guy wants me to work in the industry. She says, well, yeah, I think that's what you're supposed to do. I was just like, awesome, mom's in, we're going for this. So went up, got my badge, and this was still when I had really bad headaches, and I was actually a horrible opiate addict at the time. And I thought my life was going to be just learn to grow some marijuana, and then I could sell it to the dispensaries, have my own medicine, and keep up with that. That's how I thought my life was going to go. So I wanted to learn to grow it. So I was scrubbing buckets and all that good stuff. And one of the kids there, he was doing the extractions, and he brought a pan of wax over to me one time, and he was like, this is the shit you want to learn to do. And I was like, cool, and picked it up and started playing with it, and I dropped the tool in there, and picked it up, and had hash all over my fingers, just made a giant mess, threw my hands up and just yelled, I need an adult! And had him come over and help me out, and I was like, God, I don't feel mentally capable enough to be, playing with chemical solvents that, you keep seeing these meth lab explosions, as they call them, the current modern day meth labs. And so I was like, there's no way I could ever get into that. Well, he kept making some really awful quality oil because people were giving them really awful quality trim. But it was still loaded with THC. So a boss there, they're the owner of the place, he tells us, I'm going to put in some canola oil. I said, well, that sounds awful. Canola oil doesn't sound like really something that you want to drink, but he was like, no, this is what I'm going to do. And took it home, came back the next day, we said, did it do anything to you? He says, no, absolutely not. I said, how about you heat it up? I didn't know anything about decarboxylation at the time, but told him, throw it in the oven for half an hour at 300 degrees. Didn't see him for 5 days. He got so high that he couldn't make his way to work. Finally, he came back, had another bottle with him, talked him out of that bottle. He says, don't take more than 1 dropper full. So I took 4. Worked through the day, ended up taking another 4 right before the end of the shift, and I looked at my friends and said, am I that high? They're like, no, you're good. So we went back to my, I was a glass blower at the time, we went back to my glass blowing studio to start taking dabs. And I said, guys, am I that high? They said no, so I just started swigging it. I ended up taking like 2,000 milligrams throughout the night. Had a full-on psychedelic experience. It was amazing. It wasn't visuals or anything like that, it was psychological. It was my brain saying, you feel so good right now, and you have not touched a single opiate. Why don't you live your life with cannabis for the rest of this? If you continue down this road that you're going with opiates, you're gonna die. And clearly, you can't overdose on cannabis because you're having the day of your life, and, and so I ended up going home, waking up the next morning, threw my Oxycontin in the trash, threw my fentanyl in the trash. I used methadone. I had methadone pills that I would use on non-concurrent days. It took me about 33 days to go through the withdrawals, and then I threw my methadone in the trash, and it's been over 4 years since I've touched opiates.
And what happened with your headaches?
So the headaches, they went away. As long as I maintained a constant use of cannabis, they went away.
Like right after taking 2,000 milligrams?
Yeah, it was gone. So when I woke up the next morning, I threw everything away. I jumped into the shower, and when I was in the shower, it's just this weird phenomenon that I'm slowly but surely understanding, but apparently when you overdose, if you will, on cannabis and you have extra in your body, you can actually get it back out of your body by processing it. Obviously you're going to get high again, but you use heat. So the heat from the shower actually like reactivated the cannabis into my body, and I had this crazy head rush and like these crazy thoughts pumping through my brain. Fell down into the shower, got the hot water all over me, and I'm thinking of the last 6 years of my life. I'm thinking of all like the drug dealers I've dealt with, the chronic pain people I've dealt with, all these people that never made any sense to me why I was with them. And all of a sudden it clicked. It was like, you're meant to help these people. This is why you're doing this. But all of a sudden I was like, wait a minute, I've got this really peaceful feeling over me. My life's flashing before my eyes. Oh my God, I'm dying. this is what happens right before you die. So I'm like, oh no, this is bad news. But I was like, no, this is a feeling that you know. What is this feeling? This is what it feels like to not have a headache. This is what it feels like to not be in chronic pain. This is what it feels like to have a real thought without having excruciating pain going through you. So I jumped out of the shower and I called my wife at work. I was like, come home now. And she was like, why? I'm like, no, you've got to come home now, which usually means like I'm in such bad condition that we're going to go to the emergency room. They're going to shoot me up with so much Dilaudid that I feel, or sing Dr. Feelgood in my head for the next 2 weeks. And I staged a little scene on the couch because usually I'd go from my bed, wake up about the crack of noon, go from my bed, go lay on the couch, turn the TV on, pile pillows and blankets around my head so I could see about that much of the that much light and kind of some TV to get some distraction, and just lay there in misery basically. So she comes home, she's like, oh my God, what's wrong? I kind of mumbled at her and she's like, what's going on? And I threw off the blankets and said, I'm cured! And she was just like, huh? You know, it's been 6 years. There was always the talks of it came on one day, it's gonna go away one day. And magically that was the day it was gone, you know, and it was just such a surreal feeling, you know. My brain finally worked. It was fantastic.
Well, when we come back, we'll get a little bit more from Dustin of Endocanna and Better Concentrates on how you guys can apply the same methods.
Absolutely.
Search and finding your own cures as well. Be right back.
Smoke up blunts and backwoods. Now we living up the good life. Everybody watch me cleaning. This is only the beginning. Hey, money gone.
Welcome back to Charlo's Place, guys. We are rejoined by Dustin of Endocanna and Better Concentrates at the Dab Bar. He's brought a little some. I got the Dab Ninja. Let's get started.
Let's get started.
So we've got fresh frozen?
Fresh frozen.
What is that?
So we harvest the plant and we freeze it right away. So it still has all the water inside of it, so it's freshly frozen.
Okay.
And by containing all the water inside of there, when we freeze it, all the water soluble things like your waxes, your fats, your lipids, all the things that are lung irritants, they get frozen inside the water and they turn into ice, and they make it so it's unavailable to be extracted. So by locking those up and freezing them, all we do is extract out the oils, which are going to be like your cannabinoids, your flavonoids, your terpenes, and it makes it for a much smoother, just more delicious smoke.
And then we've got some CBD.
Yep, this is going to be our critical cure CBD. We actually took first place in the Hemp Connoisseur with this guy. We ended up getting first place, Connoisseur's Choice, People's Choice, and then we actually had our other CBD, our Spectrum, that took second place and best tested.
Okay.
So kind of killed it on the CBD side.
Yeah, it sounds like it. And this is?
This is going to be this is just a dab of that.
Okay, and that's because we're going to be using
the nectar collector.
The nectar collector. So you've got a nectar collector. I've got the Dab Ninja over here, and it's this part. You just plug it into any bong, really, or water pipe if you're not in a legal state.
Saying bong is not a crime.
Not here anymore. And you just set the temperature, and it'll heat right up to that. So you can get your torch going over there, and I've got this thing heating up. I'll let you guys know when it reaches 710.
Just a little tab of that. It's super delicious.
All right. And so how does the nectar collector work, if you want to show us?
So normal rigs have got a nail that you heat up here. This has actually got a straw that you heat up there. Okay. So instead of putting it onto a flat surface where it's going to vaporize out, it actually, you put it onto a glass surface, or any kind of non-flammable surface that's safe to dab off of. I love glass. And so you'll heat up your little straw here, and then you'll actually kind of encapsulate the oil and let it heat up, and then you suck it up through. Usually put water in this, but anymore I've been smoking without water.
Okay, do you want to show us how it works?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Well, CBD has a really unique flavor. It's got a kind of a cherry, grapey, really kind of fruity flavor to it. Makes it really nice, and then it kind of just levels you out, makes you really nice and mellow. Difference between CBD and THC dabs, though, is THC is a bronchodilator, so it opens up your lungs really big. When you take CBD dabs, it just kind of makes it feel nice and mellow inside.
710. So, bronchodilator.
Opens up your lungs.
So, is that where the coffee?
Yeah, so this one isn't a pure CBD strain at all. This one, last time I had it tested, was somewhere in like the 52% CBD to like 30% THC.
Okay.
So there's still a little bit of THC in there. You still get a little cough off of it, but I'm asthmatic. Anything foreign in my lungs is going to make me want to cough a little bit.
I can definitely taste what you were saying.
Yeah. Makes it feel different in your lungs.
Yeah,
it's kind of a different
tickling my nose right now. So before the break, we were talking about using marijuana as medicine and how you searching for your own cure or something consistent to help you is what led you to open up what you're doing or get started with what you're doing.
Yeah, definitely. So, I did the tincture. We had an idea that there's about 2,000 milligrams in there because we had a test done. And once I learned that we could have tests, I was super excited, and I started getting more involved into understanding the science of the testing and how to convert your percentages into milligrams per gram and how to dose tinctures and everything properly. Because I came from a world of pharmaceuticals where they kept telling me, take 4 30 milligram Oxycontin every day and 4 10 milligram methadone every day, and wear this 1,000 microgram fentanyl patch every day. And that's what made sense to me. It didn't make sense to me to look on the back of a package and see, use 1/4 ounce of marijuana. 1/4 ounce of what? Was it shake? Was it bud? Was it trim?
Right.
Was it hash? There's so many variables there. So I wanted to know it better. So I started researching it, started understanding it, and as I was speaking, the place that I was working before had an extraction artist. Well, him and the head grower really kind of butted heads. So the head grower started pushing me to learn to do extractions. He said, I got a home grow coming down. I want you to be the guy that extracts it out. So I tried it. I did some of my methods, and turned out the product that I was making looked a whole lot better than what everybody else had on the market. So I decided to go and try to get a job just doing extractions, and I got a job, and there was actually 2 mint kitchens up there. So I worked for one, and then the other one I actually ended up being able to start the name Better Concentrates and start making concentrates for other clients out there. Like any person that had trim, they could send it up to me and I can make it into concentrates.
Okay.
And I learned really quick that good product in means good product out. You can only make a product so much better. And there were so many really bad pesticides out there that we had no tests for, and there were so many issues that I actually decided to just close my doors. I decided that if I couldn't make good, clean quality medicine for people, that it wasn't worth doing it. The money wasn't worth it. It was good money back then, but it just wasn't worth it. You kind of felt like you were selling your soul. So luckily, after I decided to close my doors, about 4 or 5 days later, I was approached by some guys that wanted to get into the industry and had the money to do it. So through a lot of trials and tribulations, we were able to actually start the company Endocanna. And what Endocanna represents is my ability to control everything. We grow it all in-house, we extract it all in-house. Like, I oversee every step of the process, allowing us to make that guaranteed quality medicine that, it's actually medicine. These people that we have so many pesticides running around right now that it counteracts the good effects that we're trying to get from medicine. Nothing kills me worse than to think that sick people are using medicine that's making them sicker.
Right.
So we try to give everybody in the state an ability to buy a better product, to buy an Endocanna product, to be able to know that they have a quality product in their hands.
So where can people find more information about Endocanna and Better Concentrates?
you know, endocanna.com, betterconcentrates.com is a great place to start. You know, ask your local dispensary, and if your local dispensary doesn't know, tell them they need to know.
Cool. Well, we are going to continue dabbing. In the meantime, thank you so much for swinging by, imparting some of your knowledge, sharing your story with everyone. And you guys be sure to subscribe for the latest news, exclusive interviews, and useful reviews at charlogreen.com. Later.